Hey all, welcome to our channel. Today we're going to be looking at a game called Pax Dei. Day? I'm not sure. Well, this is a sandbox massively multiplayer online game. It's been in development for a while and it's just gone full release. So today we're going to be taking a look at it, see what it's like, what's in the game, what you get to do, starting out as a new character basically. Now we'll jump straight into creating a character. There's a few different servers and regions to choose from. There seems to be an RP one and a standard one per region. And then you get onto your character creation. Now this is very, very basic. There's not much to it at all, tell you the truth. A few predefined faces you can choose from. But yeah, you can modify it a bit more after that. But for a massive multiplayer game, this is kind of lacking to, compared to other games out there. Yeah, this is probably a sign of things to come. You then get to select your name, of course, and then choose the region you want to start in. Now, I'm not sure if this is the entire world or not, quite possibly, but you get to choose which region you want to start in. And then on the right-hand side, you've got different locations that are different parts of the world map, basically. I think I would probably choose, if I was starting out now, a lower population region. Building is quite prevalent in this game. It's a main part of the game. So you want to make sure you got enough room to have a nice little plot to build your house on. We'll see about that later. So then we load into the game. And the first thing I notice, 30 FPS. You can see in the top left-hand corner. Or even less than that. Now this is an Unreal 5 engine game. So yeah, I wasn't too surprised at this. I don't think I've played a single Unreal 5 engine game that's performed really well. So jump into the settings. I'll knock overall quality to medium here just to see if that helps. And well, a tiny bit maybe. I'm now 50 to 60 FPS, just dropping down to medium. Clearly that's not good enough. And in the end I had to come in and turn frame gen off. Now, sorry about showing these boring bloody option menus and stuff like that, but I just want to, kind of emphasize how unfinished or unoptimized this game is for sure. Now, like I said, all Unreal Engine games kind of suck and they all rely on DLSS and frame gen. It's just not good enough, really, considering the hardware I got. You would think I'd be able to run this as, at a decent FPS without needing those turned on. But like I mentioned, most Unreal 5 engine games are like this. Not quite as bad for sure, but, yeah. What can you say? But let's get on to the game itself. This is basically a survival game turned into an MMO. So think, about all your other like survival games out there where you go around and you collect basic resources to start with off the floor, like, Rust or something like that. This is that, just on a bigger scale, which sounds really, really good. And this is what got me interested in the game in the first place, and it's why I originally backed it. But quite honestly, the game has been released too early. But we're going to see what it's like and what you get at the moment. So yeah, certainly to start with, it is your basic survival game. Pick up basic resources with your hands. Build some starter tools. So you can then gather more resources. And start crafting more advanced things. Then you just start crafting your house. And then you start crafting, tool benches and stuff like that to craft even higher end things. And that's the core of the game basically. Now I must say you do have a great view of the world when you get up high. It's not amazing graphics when you get up close to things, but it does look decent enough. But certainly that performance for what you get is bad. You got to go around, gathering stuff, and you have different skills that you can level up as you go along, and you level up skills by doing them. Now that can be combat skills, that can be gathering skills, cooking, crafting, anything like that. The more you do, the more you'll level it up. And as you can see here, like as I start mining this stone, my mining skills start slowly going up. And yet, anything you do, you will level up your skills that way. And you get better and you gather more resources, and you gather the resources faster as well, the higher level you are. Obviously, there's different types of tools which also speed things up, but we'll have a quick look at that later. One of the main parts about this game is kind of building yourself a house, a place where you can store everything and you can craft all your gear. Now, there is PvP in this game, or there's at least PvP areas where I believe you can lose anything you've got on you, or at least certain things that you have on you. I've not got to that part of the game myself yet, so I'm not 100% sure. But certainly the starting areas that you can spawn in, they're safe areas. So you can't be attacked, you can't lose anything there. But if you want to keep that plot, you do have a monthly sub that you have to pay. And that annoyed some of the early backers, because I don't think that was supposed to be the case. Basically, I think you bought the game initially and you had a certain amount of plots depending on how much you backed. But it seems they decided, no, you can't have those plots unless you pay monthly. So that pissed off a lot of people. It does seem, if you don't pay up your sub, that after, I think, 3 days, basically your plot of land just gets removed from the game. I'm not 100% sure what that means. Whether or not you just lose everything that's in there, or if it becomes open to everyone, I'm not sure. Obviously, if any of you guys do play the game, please just let me know below. Yeah, once you do find a place you want to kind of build on, it basically, you can place your plot down like this. It shows the area that you're going to be able to build in. I wanted to build, near the water for no reason at all, really, just to make it look nice. I don't think you can actually do anything with the water as such, so it's just, yeah. I don't think there's any fishing or anything at the moment. But yeah, you get to name your land, tells you a bit about your building plots and so on. In fact, you do get pop-up tutorials like this for most things you do initially, so it does give you a bit of information about it. Yeah, now this land belongs to me, so I'm free to build my house. Building side of things is super straightforward. As long as you've got the resources, you can place the parts of the building you want to put down. If you've played any survival games, you'll know exactly how it works. And then after a good chunk of time gathering resources and so on, you would have built yourself a little hut like this. Now, I don't think this gives you any advantage. You could just have a flat piece of land and put all your crafting tables like you can see outside. It makes no difference as far as I can tell. So if you like crafting and making things look pretty, then just crack on and build as big as you want it to be. Well, as long as it's within your plot. And you'll eventually end up with something like this. Maybe. It depends if you've got a bit more artistic flair than I do, I suppose. But yeah, again, it can't be attacked, so it's kind of a bit pointless. But if you were in, I guess, a PvP area, it might be good to have stuff inside your house to protect it a bit more from people attacking you. I honestly don't know how that part of the game works. I also have a bed that does absolutely nothing. It's just all cosmetic, I think. Anyway, obviously the next kind of big part of the game is this crafting. Now, there's lots of different kind of crafting workbenches to start with that you can build, from a basic fireplace to a place to cut up logs. And then you slowly need to build up and use those crafting tables to build more parts so you can build other crafting tables and so on. Like I said, if you played a survival game, it plays exactly like those, okay? So it's just the same kind of progression. You start off with the basic stuff and just work your way up to the more advanced stuff until you're building yourself really nice weapons and so on. And each of the crafting stations are going to require different types of materials that you might have to go off to different areas to find. So, there's a bit of exploration to the game as well when you're trying to find all these different resources. And, it's quite enjoyable when you're going around doing these things, but at the end of the day, it seems a bit shallow. There is a lot of stuff to craft, and the early on gear that you can make, like the stone axes and stuff like that, are limited to the kind of resources you can mine. So you need to be able to build the better tools and stuff like that to be able to mine bigger trees and harder rocks and so on. But the first tier you get to is like bronze, I think it is. And it's not much of a boost from your initial stone tools. And it's a shame, really, because there's a lot of trees around the area, for instance, that are too hard to mine or cut down even with your stone tools. And you spend all this time getting the bronze tools, and then it's still not good enough to get them down. So you've got to get up to, I think iron is the next tier, and then you're good. But anyway, you get the idea of what this is about. If you played any of the survival games, it's exactly the same. Combat is okay. It starts off pretty basic, you know, like you'll see here. I'm going to attack this boar. The boar's going to attack me anyway. And it's just, with these basic weapons, it's just stab, stab, stab. You do have a special attack with Q. And yeah, if you're killing animals and stuff like this, it's good to kind of butcher them as well, because you can get food and other materials to build other things from. But that brings me on to weapons and armor. They all give you different skills depending on what you've got equipped. So you can see here I got some medium armor and basically a bronze two-handed sword. And down at the bottom of the screen you can see the skills that you get. Now, different bits of armor gives you different pieces of, well, different skills. So you could, you know, with lighter armor you get different types of skills to use. And the same with the weapons as well. With different types of weapons, you'll get a different skill set. Now with the weapon skills, they do the bulk of the damage basically. Your standard attacks are okay, but the special attacks are really good. And then with the armor, you usually get one that you can heal yourself with, but that's only out of combat. There's like an in-combat heal as well, and there's one to like call back your mana as well. There is also magic in this game that I haven't really had a play with yet. That's why there's mana, I guess. But also your standard skills do appear to use some of the mana too. And yeah, like I said, some of the skills can only be used out of combat, so you've got to be careful. If you're in a big fight, you're not going to be able to heal yourself up easily. And if you do swap weapons as well, as you can see in here, there is a cooldown on the skills. So you can't swap to a different weapon and use the skills straight away. So you've got to be careful in combat, because you'll only have access to your standard attacks when you first swap your weapon. There does also appear to be like NPC camps around the map and so on, that you can go and fight NPCs. Now, I think this is probably group combat. As you can see, I'm trying to shoot this guy with my bow. I'm not doing hardly any damage to him. So I get into melee combat, but again, I'm hardly touching him at all. And he's hit me pretty damn hard. But as you can see, I messed up there because I changed weapon. I've got no access to my special skills, so I was stuck doing standard attacks. And just had to run away, basically. Run away! So I go and explore one of the camps a bit to see what they're like, but as soon as I enter, I realise that this is definitely group content. There's multiple enemies here, and they're all pretty damn hard. So, you know, if you do play with other people in this game, these might be quite fun to clear out. I'm not sure what you get from killing these guys. I'm guessing they drop something good. But yeah, as a solo player, I think these are off limits. Unless some of the later weapons that you get by crafting the better weapons and so on do a hell of a lot more damage and allow you to take these on solo. I am not sure. But it just doesn't feel like it, you know. This is how the map looks in game. You know, it's got little icons for lots of different things. This is obviously your house, you can see quite easily. There's spawn points around the area like this here. I think there's spawn points when you die. I think this is where you can spawn. And then these seem to be NPC camps with the little icons. I guess they're different factions because some of them have different icons. And there's also different places on the map that, you know, will have certain resources, like there's mines. There's also areas for, I guess you could call them wilderness crafting stations. So if you don't sub to the game, you've got a place where you can go and craft things. There's clearly a few other things around the map as well. It looks like there's some kind of dungeon. There's weird areas like this, you know. So it looks like there's a lot to explore on the map. I mean, it's not a massive map. I don't think it would take you too long to get to the different areas. But obviously, I don't know how more dangerous they get, you know. I think it's definitely, you definitely go with a group of friends. I want to quickly show the public crafting area as well. If you don't have a sub, you can come here and craft some like basic items and stuff like that. You're not going to be able to do any of the advanced stuff in here. I don't know if there's other areas that allow that, but this one for sure is just for the starting gear. Then, of course, you've got the shop. Or, well, the subscription store at the moment. I don't know if they'll add anything else or not. But you've got a few different tiers of subscription. Like premium you can do, which gets you better XP, but doesn't give you a plot of land to build on. And then you've got a few other tiers as well that gives you plots of land, depending on how much money you want to spend. And to tell you the truth, this isn't a bad setup. I can't say it's terrible, you know. But I think the original backers were supposed to get plots as part of the package. Now, if I'm wrong here, because it's just from what I've been reading on the Steam forums and people crying on there, and you know what it's like, that's not necessarily all right. But I think even those people who originally backed now have to do the $5.99 one to get the one active plot. I'm not sure. If I'm wrong, please let me know. But yeah, that is a quick look at Pax Dei, or however you say it. Now, for me, I backed this game because it sounded very interesting. And it was in early access and they did some updates. It wasn't great. And then all of a sudden, they were releasing the game. They have added all the basics to the game. I must admit, the basics are there. But it doesn't appear to be that much depth. Now, I've only spent a bit of time in this, so I could be totally wrong. But I just don't think there is, you know. I think this needed at least another year in early access, maybe more, so they could flesh everything out to make it the game it was supposed to be. I could be totally off base here, but I guess the company started running low on funds and needed to start dragging some money in somehow. Yes, the base of the game is here. The world is nice, it's big, all the basic mechanics seem to work. But I think, yeah, it just needs more. Whereas, you know, the combat's nice. For instance, it's got some decent skills to use. You get different skills on the decent gear you wear. But it's still pretty basic. And that's like everything else in the game. And obviously the performance issues that I pointed out at the start of the game. Yeah, it just all points to a game not being ready for full release, basically. And a game that's not ready for full release, yeah, I don't see many people subscribing to this. Obviously, everyone's got like a 3-month, whoever backed the game, so there's going to be players at the moment. But honestly, other than the hardcore fans, I cannot see people playing monthly for this at the moment. And because of that, I can't see the game being around for very long. You know, I hope I'm wrong, but yeah, I just don't see it happening. I also couldn't get any of my mates that usually play these kind of games to jump in. They just weren't interested. They didn't like the look of it. They didn't like the look that it got released so quickly. So I was basically soloing this while I was doing the testing. And it just doesn't seem to be geared towards like solo players at all, which is fine for the size of game it is. You know, it's a massive sandbox open world game. And that's usually geared towards groups of players rather than solos. Still, I think this game is just not ready for release. In my opinion anyway. I'm not going to pay money for it. None of my mates are interested in playing it either. So yeah, I can't recommend this to anyone. Obviously, if survival games are your thing and you absolutely love them and have to play every single survival game out there, sure, check it out. But I just don't think it's got the depth to keep people there at the moment. So, I cannot recommend this game to anyone, really. And I hate that because I've spent money on this game. I backed it. I liked the sound of it to start with. They promised a lot. But, yeah, it's fallen short a bit. Thanks for watching, everyone. Obviously, if you like what you see, please leave a like and subscribe. It does help with all the YouTube side of things. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next video.